Please mute yourself. Please mute yourself. It's disturbed.
Sir, about JS Mills, sir, today?
Okay, students, am I audible? Please confirm once again.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So we are in the part of Western political thought. Today our topic is about the Niccolo Machiavelli. So in Niccolo Machiavelli, so we are going to discuss two parts. I mean, what is his view in different parts. One is what's his view on politics. Another one is so what's his view on the statecraft. So this is the two main ideas today we are going to discuss. So first introduce, we'll start with the Niccolo Machiavelli's life. So the Niccolo Machiavelli is born in the Italy. He was born in 1469. It's Italian province, the city of Florence. So unlike many prominent figures of Italian Renaissance, there is not much information available about the early life of the Machiavelli. So there is no such information. More information like other thinkers. So there are a few information about his where he studied in Latin and humanistic social studies. I focus in the some different moral situations like subordination of individual interest, a common good. So these are the some basic information is available about him. So in 1512, Machiavelli's political career came to end when it's the medics led the coup, so Republic of Florence. So Machiavelli was dismissed from this position and was ordered to imprisoned and tortured on the suspicious conspiracy. So later he was granted the amnesty and as a token of gratitude dedicated to the prince. So he lived until his death. He is born in the 1469. He lived up to 1527. So there are some major works written by the Machiavelli. So some of the books are there is the Prince, which is written in the 1513, the Discourses, which is written in the 1516, the Art of War, which is written 1521, History of Florence 1525. So these are the most important books of written by the Niccolo Machiavelli. So at the time of his leaving, the Italy was divided into the 5 states. The Kingdom of Naples, territory of the Roman Catholic Church, Duchy of Milan, so Republic of Firenze and Florence. So these are the 5 places Italy has divided at the time he lived. So Niccolo Machiavelli, known as the child of Renaissance. So not only is there to question the prevailing moral assumptions of his own times, so but also he challenged the utopian traditions of political philosophy. So Machiavelli is remembered for making the first move for the scientific study of politics and also pointed up the separate of religion from the politics. So before Machiavelli, we studied political science, philosophy. So every matter which is regarding to the state, so we are studied with related to the religion. So before Machiavelli, there is no separation between the religion and between the religion and politics. So everything comes under the religion and politics. There is no separation. There is no line between these two. So Machiavelli make it separation. We'll discuss in our further topic how we uh, how we divided these two concepts. So is often misunderstood because he is advised to he gave most of advice to the prince, which is written the prince book. So we'll discuss what are the statecraft according to him. So those also will discuss in our statecraft. So he regarded as the first modern political philosopher as separated, we discussed now, separated ethics, morality from the politics. So he and also made the distinction between the state and religion. So he is the first person who made the distinction between the state and religion. So in Greek political tradition, ethics was basis of the politics. So in the Greek, the ethics was the basics for the politics, but Machiavelli gave more importance to the power to preserve to the state. So according to him, state is above morality. According to him, state is above the morality. So Machiavelli and argued that the a stable political authority, order, or need to ensure moral regeneration and social cohesion. So it was for his reason that is stressed the need for unified polity. So unlike, before him, Thomas Aquinas believed that man needs to the guidance of divine law. But before him, thinkers like Thomas Hobbes, they believe that so man needs the divine of love. Divine love means nothing but a God and religion. So, but Machiavelli is not like that. So he separated the religion from the politics, but he made the point of to politics. Power politics was central to his analysis. So Machiavelli philosopher advocated case for the great power. So elements of the modern day nationalism based on glory, power, and greatness can be seen in his work. So Machiavelli also associated with the realist school of international relations has brought the importance of power for the highlighted the shortcomings of the idealistic policies. So there was a big impact of Renaissance in Machiavelli's work, as a Renaissance was about the emergence of the new human and ambiguous, restless individuals motivated by self-interest, so seeking the glory and fame. So since he gave less importance to the morality, Machiavelli name has since become the synonymous the words like cunning, duplicity, treachery, and ruthlessness. So, however, comprehensive view of Machiavelli comes up after reading. So, based on his, reading of Machiavelli discourses. So, one thinker who is Montesquieu regarded him as a lover of liberty. He give very priority to the liberty. So, and is a very pioneer in the political sociology. Student, am I audible? Something. Anyone, please confirm it. I'm audible. Some network is fluctuating. Okay, thank you. See, if I'm not audible, please let me know. I will start where I start from there. Okay. Okay, we'll continue. So Machiavelli, not only Machiavelli, every political science thinker, not only political science, every thinker written many works. So, but there are some influences on him. So here also Machiavelli, since his early life, has been influenced by number of factors which can be seen in his philosophy, in his work. So some of factor which is influenced his thinking philosophy of Machiavelli we'll discuss here. So one thing is the condition in Italy. So when he's living the condition, so that also influenced him. So we'll see what is the condition those times in the Italy. So at the time of Machiavelli in the Italian peninsula was divided into the, I told in earlier, it's divided into small parts and 5 countries like. So the states are possessed different forms of government. So while some were republics and other were ruled by the despotic rules. So now at the beginning of the 16th century of some sort of consolidation of the states have been achieved, but still they were divided into the 5 groups. I mean, I told you earlier class. I mean, starting of the class, like Kingdom of Naples, territory of Roman Catholic Church, the Duchy of the Milan, so the Republic of Firenze, Republic of Florence. So this five part, I mean, yeah, Italy divided into this five part. So apart from this internal dissensions among these states, there was a serious threat to existence due to the presence of the strong states like France and Spain on the borders. Machiavelli identity desired to unity these varying states. So he want to try to unite these states. I mean, makes them the succeed and strong that they could be deal with the foreign power effectively. So as usual, I mean, we know this not only in political, this in real life also. If we are together, will deal. We are capable to do dealing with the such a things. So that's why Machiavelli also that. So the time the Italy was divided into the five states, so the some states which are bordering with the Italy, France like Spain, they are very powerful states. So it becomes the threat to the these five states. So that's why you want to match this all the five cities as a. So Machiavelli wrote books like we discussed in the Art of War. So the discourse on the levy, the prince, which is laid down the principles which he wanted the states to follow, so that they could go prosper, the flourish. So Machiavelli hailed from the Florence basically. So Republic he played the strong role who could unite the and expel the foreign invites. So I mean, we'll discuss in statecraft. So, according to Machiavelli, is telling us that the king should be a very strong, because those time Italy was divided into five states. So, neighboring countries are they are threatening to the Italy because there is no unity between the these five states. So that's why he advised the prince. I mean, strong prince. King should be a very strong person. We'll discuss in statecraft. He advised some rules. I mean, some guidelines to the. So we'll discuss in its statecraft. Now we'll continue. So next impact is the impact of republic. So the Renaissance movement, which stood for the revival of ancient values, exercised profound influence on Machiavelli, because this movement strongest in the Florence. So Renaissance movement is very strong those days in the Florence. So that's why he influenced by that movement also. So this movement is not only revived that. So that was an ancient and had been forgotten during the medieval period. So, but it also created the consciousness of life, a new sense of liberty and new values of life. So man become the center of all studies. So God was relegated to the background. So after the Renaissance, man become the center. So before Machiavelli, I mean before Renaissance, so there is no center point to the human being, man. Before that, the God is the religion is the central part. So the impact of the Renaissance on Machiavelli is quite evident from the strong play for gradual transfer power from the church to the state. So next reason is the emergence of strong monarchies. So this is also one of the influence on. So the emergence of the strong monarchs who had concentrated the entire political power into their hands, into their own hands. So which earlier rested with the feudatory corporation. So also left to deep impact on Machiavelli. So the concentration of absolute powers in the hands of rulers meant a death knell of the medieval representation institutions. So Machiavelli saw in it as the only remedy for the unification of Italy. So apart from this contemporary influence, Machiavelli was also influenced by the Aristotle writings. So he lent the idea separation of ethics, politics from Aristotle. So I told you that Machiavelli who divided the politics and really differently. So this idea he learned from Aristotle. So separation of ethics, politics, and so politics from the Aristotle he learned. So the other important thing is which borrowed from the Aristotle. So were the idea that the state was the highest organization of human beings. So there are the threefold division of state: monarchy, aristocracy, democracy, and the famous historical method. So likewise, he felt influence of Aristotle, right? So secularism, political inutility, and religion consent. So, but without any doubt, he felt the maximum impact of his contemporary conditions. Contemporary conditions means Italy has divided into the five states. So, and the Renaissance movement, which is very, very important. It's very important aspect which is influenced in him to write some very extraordinary works like Art of the War, The Prince. So, we'll discuss how Renaissance impact influenced him. So, I will give one definition to try to understand. So, there is a thinker Lasky. So, he told that about the Machiavelli. So, the whole Renaissance is in Machiavelli. So, it means, so he influenced very much lot by the Renaissance movement. So, that's why he is in writings, there is very rational things were there. So there is a lack of power, admiration for success, a carelessness of means. So the rejection of medial bonds and frank pragmatism, it convention national unity makes for the national strength. Right, he's trying to national strength. So as so Renaissance, it is 14th century. Italy experienced the great changes those times in the social, culture, economic, and political milieu. So it was the time when the spirit of Renaissance impelled men to re-examine from new ideas based on scientific reasoning rather than the scholastic dogmas. So such changes not only laid the strong foundation of intellectual or spiritual churning of idea in Italy, but also gradually spread to the rest of Europe by the last 15th century, liberated the human spirit from the shackles of old beliefs and values, value systems of life. So thus it can be seen as a departure from the medieval Christian values that gave importance to the citizen, humanity, and worthlessness of the men on earth. So therefore, the concept of eternity or next world, which was main guiding factor of humans in the medievalist era, stayed the fading away. So the epoch of Italian Renaissance concentrated on this world, only liberated men from the dogmas of middle times and ushers a new consciousness life, idea of individual liberty, right? So the Renaissance made an attempt to defend the individual's love for liberty by reinstilling the pre-Christian approach that was based on the nature and humanism. So it was clear indicator that people were now no longer going to keep their faith in medieval Christian values, so and self-denial. So rather the importance to one's own glory, happiness, fame, and the spirit of individualism. So it also rejected the escalation of supremacy of the priest and laid down the stress on the intellectual emancipation of human spirit. So Machiavelli was always seen as the child of Renaissance. His native city, Florence, was the axis of Italian Renaissance. So and that immensely shaped his intellectual and political ideas. Perhaps it was only Machiavelli who could grasp the dynamics of modern secular state and the new human that no longer tolerated the separation of one's individuality, emotions, natural faculties. So this may be the reason that Machiavelli primary concern of security and unity of state and liberty and republicanism clearly reflected in his major treatise, major works. Major work means he's written some books, like The Prince, Discourses. So, and the whole Renaissance was a salvation where the authority of God was replaced by the authority of science. So, human rational, more importantly, it is also signified the emergence of modern state based on the ideas of secularism and nationalism. So, it is a secular nation. It is a significant separation between the religion and politics. and there's the independence of the state from the control of the church. So this is the importance of the Machiavelli. So we'll discuss now in the what is the politics, his views on the politics and morality. So as a great patriot, Machiavelli had keen desire to the see stability, peace, prosperity in his homeland. So what is mean by stability, peace, prosperity? So what is the important stability? Because we have discussed in the class first, the Italy has divided into the 5 states, separate states. So there is no unity between these 5 states. So the neighboring countries are threatening to the Italy. So that's why he needs the stability, peace, prosperity in his homeland, Italy. So to find its solution, he turned to history, as he had his strong conviction that contemporary reality can be better understood with the help of history. So his approaches to the history was realistic and the believed that history tends to repeat itself. So he stated that through the ages of passions and desires of men always remain the same. It tend to repeat the same conduct. Same conduct is also likely to find uh, the same solutions, which will help of the same means. So since Machiavelli had strong desire to secure the unification of Italy Peninsula, so he read the history of ancient Rome in order to draw the casual inference of the rise of Rome imperial power and its downfall. So, so he wanted to again unite these 5 states which is divided in the Italy. So before he wanted to do that. So when we are going to do one thing, so we know must what is the history. So according to Machiavelli, not only Machiavelli, a number of thinkers. So without history, we can't do anything. So that's why he started to started to try to understand the history of the Rome, Italy. So I think that will be help to get the for the Italy. So he read the works of the Roman histories, right? A lot of Rome histories. So from his study of past, he also inferred that the governance in the governance is an art, has nothing to do with the morals. So he held the view that purpose of politics is to preserve and increase the political power of state. So according to him, after reading the history of the Rome and Italy, so he came to conclude that purpose of politics is to preserve and increase the political power of the state. So, but those times in Italy, there is no political power that much because the Italy is divided. So there are a lot of the state of war. So he was always interested in the policy through which the problems of statecraft can be solved, and subsequently can increase their power. So that is the main reason Machiavelli considered the first exponent of power politics. So Machiavelli, this attitude was influenced by his conception of human nature. So understand yours human nature. So the state cannot be imagined without men. Yes, absolutely we know. Without man there is no state. So this Machiavelli also stating that. So it is imperative to look at the relationship between the politics and human nature. So contrary to Aristotle and the other thinkers of medieval period, who presume human nature is the innately social. So Machiavelli had taken a very pessimistic idea of human nature. So he alleged that human nature through the ages did not change significantly. And what men have done, so they are an equal provocation liable to do again. So men are generally unreasonable and their actions are guided by their emotions, right? So they have no general inclination towards morality and constantly it gesture of satisfy their desires, right? Every man seeking is to satisfy their desire. So at one place, he says that men are prey to endless desires, and one such desire is the love for the private property, right? So everyone thinking that the private properties must and should for own individual interest. So he further stated that men would be readily forgive the one who murdered his father, but not abduction of his own patrimony. So right, he is thinking that he is telling that the man can forget the person who murdered his father, but the man couldn't forget the person who take his property, who taken his away from his property, away from his property, right? So Machiavelli, I mean, it means that he's great. I mean, according to Machiavelli, so he's trying to tell that man is giving to more impact to the private property. So Machiavelli illustrated the human nature was political animal whose inherent desire was the always to control and establish supremacy over the others. However, Machiavelli assigned that trait to the prince only. So and advised him. He advised to the prince to trust upon his own instincts and judgment rather than his counselors. So Machiavelli conception about the men had inevitably highlighted his theory of state, the ends of the state as his views on regarding the methods of achieving those ends. So it is also leads to the divorce between the morality and politics. So here Machiavelli, I mean, is giving one advice at the Machiavelli. So he's telling that even you don't believe your counselors, who's in ministry counselors, so they are they are giving some guidelines to the king. So cause man always seeking to the interest private property. So that's why he's telling that don't believe even your own counselors also. So the scientific outlook and discoveries gave the birth to the spirits of individualism, which was totally in the opposition with the medieval concepts of universalism in the state and the church. So it is significantly that new idea of life now stands with the individual success, where successes demand the self-assertion, ruthless and disregard of disregard of the conventional morality. So it needed power, which became the new deity. Power was seen as the end in itself. So the earlier political thinker never made an attempt to keep politics out of moral and religion. So as Machiavelli did. So we are discussing since the start classes. He's always, his main concept is that he's divided the politics, religion. So he separated both. So before him, no one did that. So Aristotle also not that. So who might regard as the politics and morality are constituted one whole science. So where state power was the seen as the means to higher and end conceived in moral terms. So Machiavelli did not uphold the ethical purpose of the state. Rather, he believed that the power of state is an end in itself. So consequently, he confused his attention to the means best suited to the acquisition, retention, and expansion of the power. So the political thought from Plato and Aristotle down to the close of the medieval ages believed that the use of political power was only rightful if it is exercised by the sovereign, whose character was virtuous, sovereign power. So in a sense, it was assumed that ruler can respect and right to obey if they show themselves virtuous and morally upright. So in short, it believed to the follow standards of ethical godness with that rulers can establish and maintain their power and authority. So, in his best work, Machiavelli's best work, The Prince. So he condemned the moralistic perspective of authority. In the Prince book, he condemned this moralistic perspective of authority. So for that reason, he emancipated the politics from the religion and morality. So Machiavelli did not hold the view that if there is any moral base to the adjudicate the difference between the legitimate or illegitimate use of power. To a certain extent, authority and power are correlated. So it means if a person has power, he also has the right to exercise the same. So in a sense, integrity of a person does not ensure power of a good person has no more authority by virtue of being good. So indirect opposition to moralistic theory of politics. So Machiavelli says that the only real concern of the political ruler is the acquisition and maintenance of power. So in other words, Machiavelli opened that only end which can be legitimately put before him the pursuit of his well-being in the life. So this well-being is needs to not to be confined to the material realm. So besides health, security of life and property, so it includes the non-material values of life like greatness, power, and fame. So, but he definitely rejected the cultivation of virtues like humility, lowliness, and contempt of worldly goods, on which Christianity laid great stress. So, in the Prince and the Discourses book, he discussed the employment of all sort of violence and brutality. So, at one place, for example, at one place, he says that. So, while it is the most praiseworthy for a prince to be good. So, nevertheless, one who wish to maintain his authority must be ready to put aside his morality as a circumstances. So, in other sense, for sake maintaining the political power, decide the hypocrisy are indispensable. So, there is no harm if the prince showed up all his sincerity, uprightness, humanity. So, but but humanity, but regardless these virtues, he must also have 1 minute, 1 minute. Sorry for interruption. So, so Machiavelli was more attracted by the propagandistic utility than by the doctrinal virtue of religion. So, according to him, religion can be used to serve the political ends of the state. So, for instance, to the religion canons of good and bad. So, reward and punishment can be determined the proper human behavior and conduct. So, in turn, it can make people to abide by the civil laws. So, once people will start following the rules, the state will become stable, strong, prosperous, like ancient Rome. So, so this is the importance why he read why he gone through with the history of the Rome. So reading the while reading the history of the Rome, so he came to know that once people will follow the rules, civil laws, the state will become the stable, strong, prosperous like ancient Rome. So in ancient Rome, the Rome was strong. So but in his time, it was very weak. It is divided into the when different five states. So it is very weak. So in ancient Rome, religion sanctions always kept the Romans in check. So if fear of hell, evil, and God kept them loyal for their state. So therefore, Machiavelli accepted the public efficacy of the religion and also looked up religion only as a useful weapon in the hands of the statesman to be skillfully used the furtherness of the ends of the state to maintain the law and order. So therefore, I also advised the prince to put in possible efforts to promote religious beliefs, even though he himself may atheist or had a little faith in religion. So because decline of reverence for the religion would be surely bring in the disaster. So he made that wise ruler can cash on religious sentiments and even can achieve the things which may have been impossible otherwise. So in other sense, Machiavelli religion had no objective values. So it was just mechanism which can be employed by the ruler, influence the people to pursue their ends. So Machiavelli considered religion and morality as the subordinate to the state. So it is neither above or nor besides it. So I mean, so we are discussing that he separated the religion from the politics. So it doesn't mean he totally neglected the religion. So he giving some important to the religion, but not as before. So the religion, these values, moral values should be the subordinate to the state. Before Machiavelli, so the state means the church is the higher authority in the state. So he's changed it. He's changed that the state, the religion, the moral values should be the should be subordinate to the state. So we'll discuss why why he gave this reason. Machiavelli placed the state above and religion, morality is below. So he held that state is the highest form of human organization and the most necessary for all institutions for the protection of promotion of human welfare. So it cannot be placed at par with the private citizens and governed by the same canons of morality by which their affairs are regulated. So it stands on wholly different footing and must therefore be judged by the different stand altogether. It may be crime to kill a fellow being, but it's justified the state to kill someone if publicly safely is engaged. So therefore, state is neither moral or a moral entity. In a sense, it is not like an individual entity. So hence, individual morals also not applicable to it. So he was convinced with the fact that maybe out of the question to control the inherently egoistic and aggressive tendencies of men. To keep that under the check, the state might have to imply the religious sentiments only. So Machiavelli was convinced that man being what he is, and state would never succeed if it were to rely on moral means only. So he therefore propounded the doctrine that where the safety of the country is at stake. So there must be no consideration of what is just or unjust, right or wrong, glorious or shameful. So every means is justified if it is the calculated to lead to the desired end. So which is the security and the safety of the state. Machiavelli could remain the adoption of immoral means by the state without any qualms of conscience, because in his judgment, state was neither moral or nor immoral. It could be called a neuter general. So the religion and morality are also forces working within the state, not over it. So that's why the real aim of statecraft only creating the determination of whether a given policy is sound, unsound, like security of the state. So, so in the realm of statecraft, safety and security of state justify everything. So therefore, he proposed two different standards of morality, one of the ruler and one for the citizens. So he argued that state action cannot be judged by individual morals. For an individual telling, a lie might be immoral, but it may not be necessary for ruler, right? So for individual, lie might be immoral, but so it's not same applicable for the ruler. He may have to sometimes tell lie in the interest of the state. So because the state is non-ethical entity. So here is telling that, ruler, the king, sometimes he should lie, but it's not moral. Because so the purpose of lie is it's the interest of his own state, interest of his people. So Machiavelli's first experience of his diplomatic assignments made it clear. So with the understanding that ends can always justify means. So he contended that rulers need not to adhere with the notion of conventional morality. So a ruler must be judged on the basis of how successfully he ensure the well-being of citizens, expand its territory, and defend national interest of the state. So sometimes for the survival and for the safety of the state, rural may have to rely upon immoral ways as well. So he further stated that it may be a obligation for an individual to exhibit his or incapable moral standards like trust, loyalty, purity, and simplicity, so that family or religious teachers are noted. So on the other hand, a statement can be always flexible as far as the conduct of the state affairs was considered in order. I mean, in other words, in times of peace and stability. So the ruler may exhibit his high moral likes human compassion, love, faith, etc. So, but can assert his power to handle chaos and lawlessness by the use of force. In short, and political, depending upon time and circumstances. So all these things are depends on the, time and circumstances of those times. So fair could be foul or foul could be fair. So therefore, rural must be train himself to represent the judicious combination of the lion and fox. So he grew up in a social, religious, and political. I can witness the violence those times when he was killed. So prevalent in the social conflict in the city, Florence. So he was keen uncover underlying cause for this, and came up with the phenomena of the real politics. So in the Friends, after analyzing the reasons for the rise as well falls of the states and the factors responsible for political success, so Machiavelli advised to the Friends to be enlightened despot of immoral kind. So he suggested the ways to the princes to seize and keep power. He taught to the prince that in order to succeed, he must be adept witches of being clever, thrifty, cultured, forceful, so deceive and ruthless in politics for the interest of his state, his people. So it shows he was convinced with this fact that power and politics were the main props of the preservation of the state. So Machiavelli pragmatism and political realism allowed him to justify the ends. So the political ideas of the Machiavelli were mainly shaped by his own experience. So his own experience. So his diplomatics assigned the provided him to the opportunities to meet, prominent statesmen of his times. So Machiavelli had a nostalgic for, glorious past of the Roman because they had a republican form of government and which they had achieved greatness and power. So none of its rule had inherited the throne. So further, he impressed with their passion of liberty, devotion, patriotism. So and argued that all these virtues are very important for a state and could be possible only republican form of government. So while expressing his republican sentiments, he further argued that under the republican republican government power can be easily shared among the nobles and the people. So the political ideas of republic was, germinately in the late medieval Europe that can be traced back to the ancient Rome Republic. The word republic, which stems from the Latin res publica, so and for the public or common affairs. So and advocates certain institutional arrangements and moral moral precepts. So yeah, the moral concern of republicanism is understood with the concept of civic virtue that understood to the cultivate or include respect for public's land, spirit of patriotism. So they deter any military invention or tyranny and check on moral corruption in the republic. So in the statecraft, he given to the number of advisors to the king how king should be. So he given the central. We focus on the book is the central theme was the prince, king. So in the discourses book and the art of book, Machiavelli, so important contributions. So it's contains of analysis of body of politics. So and the another book, The Prince, is the handbook on that art of government and the statecraft. So and she said that Prince is not an academic work; it is a political science, but it's a book of the art of governance, according to him. So it is in the form of advices and addressing to the any rural in the form of manual book. So he gives some, number of advices to the number of advices and guidelines to the king, prince. So we'll discuss some important suggestions to the king. So Machiavelli is the prince is the form of advice given to the ruler on the statecraft. So number one is the ends justify the means. So it is a very famous state of the Machiavelli. So which is justified the reason of state. So he assumed that state is the best form of human association. So state is to be worship, worship like to deity, even sacrifice the individual. So a ruler must be remembered that whatever brings success and power, in virtue of even cunningness, shrewdness is justified. In my, ends justify means, in sum of if it is. So there is a one goal for the king. What is his king main goal? To protect his people, to protect his state, to protect his country. So to protect his people, to protect his country, we can do anything. So we can follow immoral ethics, meaning immoral ways, unjustified ways, according to Machiavelli. So for him, ends justify the means. So the goal. So what is his goal? Protect the people, protect the state. So that will justify the ease ways. So whether he going on the moral way or immoral way, it's not, it's not that much important. The important is ultimate goal. Ultimate goal is to protect his peoples and his state. So and the second one is the state is a sovereign and autonomous and non-religious. So it's giving second advance to the king is that is the state should be the non-religious. It is a state, it's a sovereign. So Machiavelli state that the state is the superior to all associations in the human society. So it is sovereign and autonomous, and moral religious concerns cannot be bind the prince. So he is the above and the outside of the moral. So he can use the religion to realize ends. Religion in politics, and the church cannot control the state. In fact, sovereign state enjoys the absolute power over all individuals and institutions. State is must necessary of all institutions. We all know state is very important. So it stands on the wholly different footing, and therefore it's judged by the different standards. So state power is the end, and religion is its organ instrument. He said politics is an independent activity with its own principles and laws. So number third is the prince must be command both qualities of lion and fox. So we know what is the qualities of lion and fox. So Machiavelli advised that the prince should be imitate the qualities of fox and lion. So the imitation of the fox, cunningness, foresight. So the king should be cunningness always to protect his people. It will enable him to visualize the goal and means to achieve it. So the imitation of lion will give him the necessary strength and force to achieve the goal. So a fox might have shrewdness and foresight, but he is a powerless without necessary force of lion. So similarly, a lion without shrewdness or prudence of fox would be reckless. So hence a rural wants to be very successful. Rural who wants to be very successful must command himself the qualities of both fox and lion. So he must possess the bravery of lion and cunningness of fox. Physical force is necessary when so there is anarchy and indiscipline. So, but law and morality is essential to check the selfishness of the people and genetic civic virtue. So, and that is use the double standards of politics. So, one for the ruler and another for the subjects. So, he said that morality is morality is not necessary for the ruler. We discussed earlier also. So morals, ethics are, it's not compulsory for the king. So what is for compulsory for him? So the compulsory, the compulsory situation is for him is to protect his state, protect his people. So he is a creator of law and morality, and prince is the above of the both. So he is the creator of the morals and laws. So ruler has the primary duty of preserving the state. For this purpose, he may use instruments of lie, conspiracy, killingness, and mass care. So thus Machiavelli prescribes the double standards of morality. Means king should be moral and immoral. So he will follow the both ways. So favor, despotic ruler. Machiavelli did not recommend the republican form of government because republican form of government requires virtuous, honest, and patriotic citizen. So he also advised that the prince to convert his monarchy into the republic. So if his heirs are corrupted and misuse their power for evil purpose, so according to the Machiavelli foundation of government, so in the reason of state government is not created by God to punishment for their sin. So Machiavelli says that the government is founded upon weakness and the insufficient capacity of men. So if in a society men are corrupt and selfish and the law is the powerless, so the normal administration is not possible at all. Superior power is essential, compulsory. So for bringing the society into the order. So these times also the society also, it is not in the order. It's divided into the 5 states. So the government with absolute power stop excessive desires and control the behavior of the people. So and maintaining the strong army. So this is also one of the most important recommendations to the king and the prince. So he recommended constant the military preparedness for the preservation of the state. So prince should organize the strong army. So to meet the internal and external threat to his power. So strong and regular army was must for the state. Its own defense. So the state should try build up its own independent, regular, and faithful army. So such an army should be consist of its own citizens and be prepared not only defend its national borders but also to expand. So the citizens must be trained for army services, and there should be compulsory military training for all able persons. So the prince must consider human nature also. So according to the Machiavelli, rational analysis of politics must begin with the account of the human nature. Machiavelli viewed, activities of man with a special interest and explained human nature. So he viewed men to be a compound of weakness, ungrateful, fear, lust for the power. So assumed all men are bad. So prominent traits of nature are, so there is no limit. There is no limit to human desires. So he's a selfish and aggressive. Hence there is there is no strife and competition. So the masses are interested in the security. Though they realize that only laws of the state ensure security. So hence they cooperate with the state and obey the laws. So the ruler who wants to successful must ensure the security, life, protection of the people. So he must follow the rules and laws, civil laws. So people must be restrained by the force because forces breeds the fear. Only force and repression can keep control and check on the evil tendencies in man. So methods of the government should be force, not persuasion. So by nature, every human being is ambitious and remain unsatisfied. So no human being content with his position. So he always after domination. The enmities and wars are the outcomes of the desire. So the human nature is selfish or angry, quarrelsome. So guided by the materialistic consideration. So only fear of punishment is powerful bond and it never fails. So a prince must have a council of wise men. So powerful internal unity were essential for the any state. Prince must choose a wise man in his council and should give them the full liberty to speak the truth to him, to the king. So he must ask them about everything and hear their opinion afterwards, deliberative by himself his own way. So Prince must be free from emotions. Prince should be exploit emotions of his people for the purpose of the state. So he should be cool, calculating, and opportunist. So he suggested that um, suggest he suggests that the prince must know the so how to act as a beast also. So Machiavelli has also advocated the absolutism and effective government, right? So these are the most, I mean, one of the important advices to the given to the king. I mean, the process of statecraft. So this is about the Machiavelli's views on about the politics and his views on the, I mean, about the statecraft, how state should be like, so how king should be follow the some important rules and suggestions. So if you have any doubts, you may ask. We'll conclude our class after the, I mean, after the doubts. So if anyone of you have any doubts, please ask. Yeah, you may text also. If you have any doubts, you may ask. So if you are at outside, you may text your doubts. See, about the group link and books, please contact your center where you register for our course. Yes, please contact your center. So they will send. So they are the maintaining the groups. So they will send links. Please contact them. Okay, shall we conclude here? If you don't have any doubts, anyone please respond.
Yes, sir.
We'll conclude here, right? Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Clear about? Okay, thank you. Right. We'll conclude here. Yes, see for group and books, please contact your center. So they are maintaining the groups. So thank you. So we'll conclude here our class.